This video will explain the basics about how to submit data to the MSI. To prepare your submission, please read all of the information available in the tool on how to submit data. The Learn More section of this tool contains documents to help you understand the full methodology and data requirements. An important thing you'll learn from this documentation is that submission is for one process that fits into the MSI taxonomy. A process is associated with a production phase. An example of a process could be a specific finish in the textile finishing phase. It could be a molding process for plastics or metals. It could even be a type of fiber, like organic cotton fiber or a branded fiber in the textile raw material phase. A submission is not for a full material. However, you could submit a few different processes to make up a full material. When you are ready to submit, log in and click on Submissions in your top banner. You will be directed to your submissions library, where you can click on Start a New Submission. At this point, you can select if you want to do a full submission or an LCIA submission. Full submissions require inputs and outputs at the process level, such as water, land, and energy used for and released from specific processes. Remember, a submission is for a process that can fit into any one of these green production squares. This information is not necessary for all of these phases. For a full submission, results for climate change, eutrophication, water scarcity, resource depletion, and land use will be modeled by SAC's data manager and turned into a single score for your submission. A benefit of making a full submission is that SAC will be responsible for modeling data to get results. This is very cost-effective for the submitter because these types of assessments are usually very time-consuming and expensive. SAC will also be responsible for maintaining the data if the methodology changes. This is also cost-effective for the submitter because if SAC chooses to add toxicity or other impacts in the future, we can recalculate those scores for you. In addition, we learned from a data submission pilot that the review process may not necessarily be shorter, but it is much clearer and more straightforward for full submissions. An important thing to understand is that only the data reviewer, data manager, and an SAC administrator will have access to this unit process level data. We understand the confidentiality of this information and are taking measures to ensure its security. Only the results will be shown in the MSI. LCIA stands for Life Cycle Impact Assessment, which is a multi-step procedure for calculating the lifetime environmental impacts of a product or service. If you've already conducted an LCIA and are concerned with IP issues, you may want to submit your LCIA results instead of doing a full submission. The benefit of an LCIA submission is that your company's detailed data does not need to be entered at all. However, since SAC cannot review that data, it must be independently reviewed by a third party prior to submission. Also, thorough supporting documentation must be made available. Modeling methodologies must match the MSI modeling methodologies exactly. And if the MSI scoring framework changes, like adding a toxicity impact, updated data must be resubmitted. For each type of submission, you will need to start with providing basic information, such as the submission name, submitter contact information, and a general description of the submission. When you click on Save and Continue at the bottom of the page, a notification will be sent to the MSI gatekeeper, or reviewer, to let him know that a submission has begun. This will help him plan for a review. At this point, you will be directed to a submission form. This is the full submission form, where you can enter more detailed data. You can navigate by scrolling down or by clicking on each section at the left to skip to that specific part. You can also print out the form to write down your entries before entering everything into the tool. If you're completing an LCIA submission, you can enter your LCIA results in this form instead. As you complete your entries, include as much information as possible about each entry by clicking on these comment icons. Here, you can provide source information, assumptions, or even questions for the reviewer. This will make the review process much easier. You can find guidance throughout the tool by clicking on these information icons. At the bottom of the form, you can save the submission as a draft to complete at a later time. Or, when your form is complete, click on Finalize and Submit. The gatekeeper will take it from there and will contact you with any questions or comments about your submission. Of course, you can always access more help. If you can't find what you're looking for in the tool itself, feel free to contact support at product@apparelcoalition.org.